Carmageddon 64. I don't have some big epic history with this game, it's just a port of an old arcade game. This game was a recommendation to me by a good friend of mine on YouTube. His username is Sean the Cold-Hearted Bastard. And if that wasn't a big enough red flag, take another good look at this game's label, why don't ya? Titus Software, aka the same Titus behind Superman 64, aka one of the worst mainstream publishers in video game history, aka the original cartoon fox that gave gamers nightmares. It's weird because Titus's logo is on the cartridge, but it doesn't pop up anywhere in the game itself. It makes you wonder, why did they basically take their name off of this game? Well, put yourself in Titus's shoes. 6 months ago, you've made one of the worst video games in all recorded history. Your company's reputation is mud, assuming you notice or care about that, because EA doesn't seem to. And now another god-awful game comes along with your name on it. What would be your reaction?
Fuck.
Well, I think I'll try out the training mode first, get a feel for their controls, and oh crap! Okay, go through the checkpoints, pretty straightforward. God, these controls suck! So, hitting a wall stops you immediately. Go straight! How hard is it to just go in a straight line? Wrong checkpoint. Of the things I give a crap about right now, that's very low on the list! Okay, what the hell? I hit a wooden fence and the fence won. I can't move. I'm stuck. I am stuck already. I've been driving for 20 seconds. Oh my god. These controls inhale rhinoceros dong. Your car turns on a dime, and I swear you turn at the exact same speed regardless of how far you move the control stick, and your car accelerates ridiculously fast. It goes from 0 to 150 in like 3 seconds. It's as if you were driving a real car and all you could do to drive was floor the gas pedal and slam the steering wheel all the way to either side. Now what makes the bad controls even worse is the camera. It doesn't follow you exactly when you're making a turn, and as soon as you stop making the turn, the camera snaps back behind your car, which is when you realize you've turned about twice as far as you meant to. You could try driving in the first-person view, but high speed, fast turning, and a crap frame rate, see how long it takes before you want to puke. You figure out pretty quickly that the only way to control the car is to liberally use the brakes and to spastically jerk the control stick to nudge yourself in the direction that you want to go. Now, longtime viewers of mine probably think that this sounds familiar. Spastically jerking around my control stick, God, that sounds wrong, is exactly how you have to play Superman 64. I swear the controls are almost as bad as that game. I'm not even kidding. The similarity is remarkable. There are 2 gameplay modes on the main menu, Carmageddon and Quick Play. You're probably thinking that Carmageddon is some kind of tournament or story mode, while Quick Play is just an arcade mode where you start playing immediately. Selecting Carmageddon mode starts a new game, and selecting Quick Play picks up the game where you last left off. So here's an idea. Why not label the options on the menu as freaking New Game and Continue Game? I had to replay the first 4 levels because of this shit, and it took me forever to figure out how the game saves data. I keep a memory card inserted in my controller just for convenience, and the game never tells you that you need a memory card unless you try to boot up without one. It saves on the card automatically, and it never ever tells you that it's saving your progress, so I was constantly paranoid of selecting the wrong menu option and wiping my save because I didn't know if it would ever come back. Plus, the load game button is hidden in the options menu, and near as I can tell, there's absolutely no way to manage the saves on your card from inside the game. Everything is done from behind the scenes, so you just have to pray that you don't get screwed and that your data doesn't get wiped on accident or some shit. How hard is it to put New Game, Save Game, and Load Game on the menu? It's like they put the Quick Play option on the menu because they were afraid people would get bored and shut the game off in the 2 seconds it takes to select Load Game. So instead, figuring out how the save system works is a cockamamie science project. The game's story is that global warming has caused solar radiation to poison the atmosphere, which has created a zombie outbreak and led to an apocalypse. I'm not even going to begin to go into what is wrong with that. The remaining population of the planet was sent to live in domes and safe zones, but they got bored and started driving cars in the infected zones and slaughtering zombies with their cars. They made a tournament out of the sport, and the winner of the tournament gets to live the good life in the off-world colonies. Gee, it's too bad they couldn't use the real story of the game. We used to be a brainless racing game where you could run over pedestrians in the middle of a race, but parents threw a bitch fit. Now the pedestrians are replaced with zombies to keep the censors at Nintendo happy, and we wrote some malarkey about a zombie apocalypse to cover the change. Because what are the odds that zombie games are going to become an exhausted and lazy cliche in the next 15 years or so, am I right? And that's not even the weirdest part. The German version of the game has the zombies replaced with dinosaurs. Doesn't make the game any less horrendous! There are 3 ways to win a race. You can 1. Drive through all the checkpoints in order for a specified number of laps, B. Wreck all the other racers, or 3. Kill all the zombies. All 80 of them. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Even if you manage to track down all the zombies, and that's an if the size of the moon, the controls are so awful that trying to actually hit the zombies is way more trouble than it's worth. Same problem with trying to destroy the other racers. You have to kill the other cars by continually ramming into them, backing up, and ramming them again. But it takes several hits to demolish a car, during which time there are a dozen chances for the AI to get away, and you're liable to run out of time before you catch them again. You might think that there would be weapons that would make killing the other racers easier, right? Wrong! Items are typically hidden in corners of the map where you have to wander in the middle of nowhere to find them, and even then I've only ever seen 2 weapons you can actually use on the other racers, and neither of them does anything more than scratch their paint job. Ramming is your only option, and ramming takes forever. Going through the checkpoints is your best bet of winning, but even that is horrible. Every level is basically a small sandbox. You can go anywhere, and there's no set course that you have to drive on to get to the checkpoints. It's a neat idea for a racing game, but the maps are so big and labyrinthine that if you stray from the intended course through the checkpoints, you're screwed, because you'll usually have to do a ton of backtracking to get to the path that leads to the checkpoint, and you don't have time to do that. I have a question. If the game actively wants me to attack zombies and try to kill as many as I can, then why does hitting zombies deal so much damage to you? Every zombie you hit and every car you crash into, both of which you're encouraged to do, it drains a good chunk of your health. Isn't that like having a boxing game where you break your fists if you actually try to punch someone? You can repair your car by pressing the R button and paying some money, and the game gives you so damn much money that you'll never run out. You get cash for killing zombies or attacking other racers, so you take damage and then immediately get money to repair the damage that it caused you. You also get money for driving through checkpoints, and you get $200,000, credits, for actually finishing a race. After a few levels, you've literally got more money than you know what to do with, because you quickly stockpile more than you could ever use, unless you're like the worst player in recorded history. So the cash is just a completely worthless mechanic. Now, take a good long look at the heads-up display. Do you notice anything missing? Anything that's kind of important for a racing game? There's no indicator of what position you're in. First, second, dead last, the game doesn't tell you. Want to know why? Because the game is programmed so that it never registers the AI as having won a race. It doesn't matter how many times the AI goes through all the checkpoints, doesn't matter how many times you get lapped, the AI is never determined to be the winner of the race. As long as you make it to the end without running out of time, you automatically win. This is some big rigs level crap right here. Can we even call this a racing game if you're not actually racing against someone? And if not, then what do we call this game? Besides shit. I honestly don't know what the AI is programmed to do. I think that if you can't see them, the AI runs the course perfectly and at a high speed, but if you can actually see an AI, they either start humping the wall because they can't actually drive, or they'll yell bonsai and charge straight into you regardless of what's in its way. I once fell off the road and landed in the lake. Well, actually I did it more than once, but that's not the point. And 2 of the 3 AIs went diving into the water after me. You can drive underwater, by the way. It'd be cool if I weren't so mad. It's a huge annoyance trying to wreck any of the other racers, because as soon as one of them gets out of sight, they kick back into magic autopilot mode and they get away, and you don't catch them again. You start the game with 3 races. Once you beat all 3, you unlock a mission. Once you beat the mission, you unlock the next 3 races, and so on and so forth. The first batch of races has 2 city levels and a mountain level. The city levels are full of highways, elevated roadways, and intersections that connect up to 6 roads at a time. It's ridiculously easy to make a wrong turn without realizing it, and the roads are walled off or don't connect back to each other, so you can't just drive straight to the checkpoint once you realize you've gotten off course. To get to the checkpoint, you have to find one very specific road to follow, and once you figure out you've made a wrong turn, then you either have to turn around, easier said than done, and try to figure out where you missed the turn, or you just ride the highway and hope that it eventually loops around to where you can get back to the main course. Put simply, every level is a maze with exactly one correct solution. Make one wrong turn or start following the wrong path and you're lost. Good luck finding your way back. But the city levels are softballs compared to the mountain level. See, the mountain level has walls that aren't at perfect 90-degree angles, and if you hit a wall that isn't exactly 90 degrees, your car does this! Spider car, handles better stuck in car. Watch it flip on its side. How the hell have I not died? Watch out! Here comes the spider car. Hit a wall, climb that shit. Zombies a pain in the ass to hit. Off the ramp, watch it fly. Laws of physics don't apply. Look out! In the sky it's the spider car. James Bond wishes his car could do all this, but right now I just want to make this freaking jump. Pass! Spider car, for the love of God, don't drive spider car. Making turns like I'm drunk, T-boned by some AI punk. This game, you will not make it far before you need a bar, 'cause you drove spider car! Any level that isn't set in a city with somewhat orderly architecture is a nightmare to navigate because the physics engine is huffing paint fumes. Your car has about a quarter of the mass that it's supposed to have, so hitting pretty much anything can flip your car over. Going over anything that even vaguely resembles a ramp sends you flying. You barely even have to graze a wall to invoke your spider powers and start climbing up the wall. And if you're driving on any surface that isn't perfectly flat, which would be pretty much everything on this map that isn't a well-defined road, the controls lock up so that you can barely turn. That's just what you need when you dip a toe off-road, for your controls to seize up so you can't turn back. You start very tediously pumping the A button to nudge yourself through the level. There's no other way to make it through the stages. It's annoying having to play the entire damn game like you're tiptoeing through the levels, but you have no choice because touching anything makes you go apeshit. What's really diabolical, or breathtakingly stupid, take your pick, is that one of the mountain level's checkpoints is placed on the other side of a ramp. And if you're not perfectly lined up and going as fast as your car will go, fish stick! Many of the levels are built with pits that you fall into them when you miss a jump or fall off a narrow walkway. Pits where the only way back to the main level is to backtrack over half the stage so you can get back to where you were. God damn it! So you can fall back into the pit. Needless to say, the backtracking eats up too much time for you to still be able to finish this mission. And you need to make this jump 3 damn times. You could always try going the other way around and going through the checkpoint basically backwards. Good luck ever finding it. The level layout is total crap! Each new batch of levels recycles 2 of the levels from the previous set, so you're forced through every horribly designed level 3 times. More than that if a map is used for a mission. The second batch of levels has a forest map where you want me to kill 120 zombies? Are you high? Pretty much this entire level is a series of roadways suspended over chasms. With the controls as sensitive as they are, one slight twitch and you fall. Look at this. Seriously? Look at this. This road is barely big enough to hold your car in the first place. You fall, you've got about 2 minutes of wandering aimlessly trying to figure out how the hell you get back to the main road before you inevitably give up and just restart the race. After spending about a day trying and failing to beat this forest level, I decided to try wrecking the other cars instead of going for checkpoints. You have to kill all of the cars to beat the level. I found out the hard way that there is no partial credit or like second place for wrecking 2 out of 3. This game is pass-fail. Either you win or you suck. Mostly you suck. Fortunately, 2 of the cars fell underwater and got stuck on a wall and were easy to kill, and eventually patience paid off and I got the 3rd son of a bitch. Whoa! Okay, I can honestly say that I've never seen that before, but whatever. I finally beaten the level. What? That didn't count? That didn't count? Bullshit! So you can't wreck the other cars to win the race? The game just bald-faced lied about that? Well, guess what? Pissed the hell off and fresh out of shits to give about this game, I grabbed my Game Shark and an instantly kill all zombies and win cheat code, and guess what? When I turned the game back on, the level was already marked as complete. This game has some of the weirdest damn glitches that I have ever seen. Speaking of glitches, you may have noticed that I've been driving the same vehicle in this entire review. This is not entirely by choice. You start the game with two cars unlocked, Max Damage and Diana, and Max Damage, the red one that I've been using, is actually the less maneuverable of the two. Trying to drive the lighter and faster orange car with these ridiculously sensitive controls is like trying to steer a greased pig. It makes the game even less playable than it was in the first place. You're supposed to be able to destroy other cars during a race and then purchase any cars you've wrecked as playable vehicles. I say supposed to because the game frequently glitches so that you don't unlock squat. The second mission, you have to destroy satellite dishes by using ramps to jump between rooftops. We may need to call Mythbusters on this, but I'm pretty sure that this is physically impossible. So of course you have to line up 11 consecutive jumps between buildings, and you can't miss a single one! This game is like Dante's Inferno. The further you get, the deeper into hell you sink. Actually, there's a trick to playing this game that I stumbled onto by accident in this mission. On one of my tries to beat this mission, my car flipped over on its top, and I tried pressing every button on the controller to see if one of them would flip me right side up again. Anything to avoid having to start over this level again. And I found out that if you press the L button, you immediately respawn about 50 feet back from where you were. If you press the L button after missing a jump, it spawns you back on the ramp you fell from. Fall off one of those countless catwalks, it spawns you back on the road where you fell. Fall in water, it spawns you back on dry land. So now I've got a clearer picture of what happened behind this game. Someone decided to actually playtest this thing. I know, foreign concept at Titus Industries, I'm sure. And the testers who didn't hang themselves with the console's AV cables came back and said this game is just north of unplayable. So they added what's known on TV tropes as anti-frustration measures, little exploits built into difficult or horrible games to keep players from rage quitting. Rather than program fair AI, they rigged it so the AI can't win a race. Rather than fix the controls or not suck at level design, they gave you the ability to teleport back whenever you fall. Rather than balance the damage you take or just eliminate damage from the game altogether, they gave you more money than you could possibly ever use to repair your car instantly as many times as you want. The game was such an unmitigated mess when they first made it that they had to keep dumbing it down until it was vaguely playable. Once you figure out how to abuse your mastery of time and space, the game becomes much easier. You can't lose to the AI, and no matter how many times you oversteer and fall off a cliff, you can just press L to fix it. You just drive through the checkpoints with pretty much nothing stopping you. The third mission, you have to destroy a huge truck by pushing it into exploding barrels, and just as I was about to give the game credit for finally having an interesting level that required thought and strategy, I saw the truck teleport clear across the level. It's like this game wants me to hate it. There's very little skill involved with the game, so the only thing it takes to beat the game is patience. Lots and lots of patience. Each new batch of races adds an extra lap to the levels. The second set of levels has 4 laps, the third has 5. By the time I gave up, I was being forced to run through these damn levels 7 times apiece. The level design gets increasingly shitty as you go along too. The third or so time you run the mountain level, you're required to hurl yourself at a rock and hope that the physics engine treats it as a ramp, instead of, a rock. The vast majority of the game's races take 10 to 15 minutes each to finish, even if you know what you're doing. And your timer typically starts at 2 to 3 minutes. Do you see a logistical problem here? You extend your time by killing zombies and attacking the other cars, and there is nothing more frustrating than wasting 15 minutes of your life on a race with god-awful controls, only to run out of time on the last lap. You don't get much extra time for killing zombies along the sides of the road, so your only hope of beating these levels is to run into one of the AIs on accident and wail on them to fill up your timer. If you never manage to run into one of the other cars, you're just boned. Not to mention the level layouts are often so confusing that you'll have to run the track at least once and fail just to figure out where the hell you're supposed to go so you can run the course for real. This game is a damn endurance test. How much raw pain can you take before you crack? The level that gets my personal vote for worst stage ever is the Snow Mountain. See, the edges of the road are kind of elevated above the rest of the road, so if you so much as graze the side of the street, your controls pretty much lock up from the uneven terrain. Plus, there's the small tunnel that's not much bigger than your entire car, where your car attempts to climb the walls constantly. The point in the game where I reached my screw this, I quit threshold and officially gave up was race 14, the second time that you have to race on the snow level. Half the checkpoints are located off-road, forcing you to regularly drive down the side of the mountain where your controls are nigh unresponsive. Going down the mountain, the checkpoint is so blocked off that you can barely go through it, and if you miss the checkpoint on your way down, the mountain is too steep to drive back up through it. Come on, get up there! Get the hell up there, you piece of shit! What game design dropout designed this level? That's it. I quit. Screw it. Carmageddon has broken me, as it breaks everyone. There is not a single walkthrough on this game on GameFAQs. There is no Let's Play that goes further than one video, and I will not be the one to scale this shit mountain. Some things are just not worth it. Eventually, I decided to take a look at the game's multiplayer mode. You know, I imagine that is a very accurate representation of the multiplayer experience, and listed on the multiplayer maps are 4 levels that I've never seen before. Each new set of races adds 1 map, each set has 4 races. That means that there are at least 16 races and missions to go. I'm at my wit's end with this thing that was so generously described to me as a game, and I'm just over halfway through it. It makes me sick to even think about. By the way, the multiplayer sucks. Just for the hell of it, I tried the mode where each player tries to wreck the other's vehicle, and I don't even want to think about how long it'd take to finish a match on this mode. Both players can heal, and both players get money with which to heal by attacking the other player. It's a never-ending cycle. I started beating up a stationary second player, and the game stopped registering hits on the other car. Outstanding. Carmageddon 64 is another installment of Titus's proud tradition of the worst Nintendo 64 games in creation. This is like one of those games you only keep around so you can have your friends try it and laugh at their pain. I wonder what Dan's doing.